The morning air in New Seoul Station smelled like metal and spices. Thousands of beings from dozens of worlds walked through the giant marketplace. Their voices mixed together in a loud buzz that never stopped. Above them, huge screens showed advertisements in 20 different languages. Ships came and went through the transparent dome overhead, their engines making the floor shake slightly. Woo-Jin Kim ran between the crowd, his small legs moving fast. His black hair bounced as he chased after Mochi, his pet rabbit that had somehow escaped from its carrier. The white rabbit hopped between the legs of tall aliens and around floating cargo containers. "Mochi, come back here," Woo-Jin called out, but his voice was lost in the noise of the marketplace. His mother, Haewon Kim, was 50 meters behind him, carrying heavy samples of rare minerals to show to potential buyers. She had not noticed yet that her son was chasing his escaped pet through the dangerous crowd. Woo-Jin squeezed past a group of blue-skinned traders who were arguing about prices. He jumped over a low barrier and kept running. Mochi was just ahead, sitting near a food stall that sold strange fruits from distant planets. "Got you," Woo-Jin whispered as he reached out for his pet, but Mochi jumped again, this time toward the center of the marketplace where the biggest and most important traders did their business. This area was usually empty of children. Only wealthy merchants and powerful aliens were allowed there. Woo-Jin did not know this rule. He only saw his pet rabbit running away. Commander Vorthak stood 9 feet tall in the center of the restricted trading area. His scales were dark green and covered in scars from many battles. His yellow eyes looked down at the smaller beings around him with obvious dislike. The hegemony warrior wore his military uniform with pride. On his chest were medals that showed he had conquered 12 different worlds. Around Commander Vorthak, several alien merchants waited nervously. They wanted to buy weapons and military equipment from the hegemony. But they had to wait for the commander to finish his business first. No one dared to interrupt him. The commander was reading a data pad when something white and fluffy ran between his legs. Mochi the rabbit had made it to the center of the marketplace. The small animal was tired from running and sat down right next to the commander's large boots. Woo-Jin ran into the restricted area without looking. His eyes were focused on his pet. He did not see the warning signs. He did not notice that everyone around him was much bigger and more dangerous than the traders in other parts of the marketplace. "Mochi, there you are," Woo-Jin said happily. He reached down to pick up his rabbit. As he stood up, his small shoulder bumped into Commander Vorthak's leg. The marketplace seemed to freeze. Every conversation stopped. Even the background noise from the advertisements seemed quieter. Commander Vorthak looked down at the small human child. His yellow eyes narrowed with anger. In hegemony culture, touching a warrior without permission was a serious insult. It did not matter that it was an accident. It did not matter that the one who touched him was just a child. "You dare to touch me, human whelp," the commander said in his deep, harsh voice. Woo-Jin looked up at the giant alien. He had never seen anything so big and scary before. The commander's teeth were sharp like a predator's. His claws could tear through metal. The medals on his chest showed pictures of destroyed cities and defeated enemies. "I am sorry, sir," Woo-Jin said in a small voice. "I was just getting my rabbit back." But Commander Vorthak did not care about apologies. In his mind, this weak little creature had insulted his honor in front of other beings. If he did nothing, they might think he was soft. They might think the mighty hegemony was weak. The commander raised his massive hand. His claws were extended. "Learn your place, inferior being," he growled. Some of the alien merchants stepped back. They knew what was coming. A few of them had seen Commander Vorthak kill before, but none of them tried to stop him. Humans were considered a weak species. What happened to them was not their concern. The strike came faster than anyone could react. Commander Vorthak's hand hit the side of Woo-Jin's head with incredible force. The sound was like breaking wood. The impact lifted the small boy off his feet and sent him flying several meters through the air. Woo-Jin hit the ground hard and did not move. The commander looked at his claws. There was blood on them. He wiped them clean on a cloth without any sign of concern. "Let this be a lesson to all humans," he announced to the crowd. "Know your place in the galaxy." For a moment, the marketplace was completely silent. Then someone screamed. Haewon Kim had finally found her son. She saw him lying still on the cold floor, blood spreading around his head. She dropped her mineral samples and ran to him. Woo-Jin, wake up," she cried as she knelt beside her child. But Wu Jin did not wake up. His eyes were closed. His breathing was very weak. The left side of his head was caved in where the commander had struck him. Other humans in the marketplace began to gather around them. Some were crying. Others were angry but afraid to show it. They all knew that complaining would not help. The hegemony was too powerful. Humans were too weak. Station Chief Dong-Soo Park arrived with security officers. He was a middle-aged man who had spent 20 years trying to keep peace between different species on New Seoul Station. But he had never seen anything like this. "Get medical help here now," he ordered his officers. The medical team arrived within minutes. Dr. Soo-min Lee was among them. She was one of the best doctors on the station. But when she saw Wu Jin's injuries, even she was not sure if the boy could be saved. "His skull is fractured in multiple places," she told Haewon quietly. "We need to get him to the medical center immediately." As they carried Wu Jin away, Commander Vorthak continued his business as if nothing had happened. The alien merchants who had witnessed the attack went back to their negotiations. Security cameras had recorded everything, but everyone knew that nothing would be done about it. This was how things worked in the galaxy. Strong species did what they wanted. Weak species endured what they must. But they were all wrong about one thing. This was not just another incident that would be forgotten. This was the moment that would change everything. In 3 seconds, Commander Vorthak had shattered more than a child's skull. He had shattered humanity's willingness to accept their place as victims in the galaxy. The medical center on New Seoul Station had never seen so much activity. Dr. Soo-min Lee worked for 20 hours without stopping to save Wu Jin Kim's life. The boy's skull was broken in multiple places. His brain was swelling dangerously. Blood was building up inside his head, putting pressure on vital areas. Most alien doctors would have declared the case hopeless. Even human doctors at other stations might have given up. But Dr. Lee was different. She had spent her entire career pushing the boundaries of medical science. "Doctor, his brain activity is dropping fast," said Nurse Young Ho Shin, monitoring the medical displays. "We have maybe 1 hour before we lose him completely." Dr. Lee studied the brain scans on her screens. The damage was worse than anything she had ever seen. Traditional surgery would not be enough. The boy needed something that had never been attempted before. "Prepare the experimental neural reconstruction unit," she ordered. Her medical team looked shocked. The neural reconstruction unit was still being tested. It had never been used on a patient with injuries this severe. The machine used cybernetic implants to replace damaged brain tissue, but the process was extremely dangerous. "Doctor, are you certain about this?" asked Dr. Hansol Park, her chief assistant. "If the procedure fails, the child will suffer tremendous pain before dying." Through the window, Dr. Lee could see Wu Jin's parents in the waiting room. His mother, Haewon, had not stopped crying since the attack. His father, Tae-min, had arrived from their mining station and was trying to comfort his wife while dealing with his own grief and rage. "If we do nothing, he dies anyway," Dr. Lee said firmly. "This way he has a chance to live." While the medical team prepared for the dangerous surgery, news of the attack was spreading throughout the station and beyond. Video recordings from security cameras showed the brutal assault in shocking detail. The footage was being transmitted to human colonies across the galaxy. On the diplomatic level, Ambassador Kyung-hwan Choi was trying to get justice through official channels. He sat in his office writing formal complaints to the Galactic Council and the Hegemony High Command. "Sir, we have received responses to your protests," said his assistant, Communications Officer Mi Young-yu. She looked discouraged as she handed him the official replies. Ambassador Choi read the messages with growing anger. The Galactic Council expressed regret for the incident, but noted that internal hegemony military discipline was not their responsibility. The Hegemony High Command sent an even more insulting reply. "Commander Vorthak has been counseled about the importance of maintaining proper public behavior." The message read, "The hegemony considers this matter closed." That was it. No punishment, no apology, no acknowledgement that nearly killing a child was a serious crime. To the aliens, human life was worth so little that almost murdering a boy was just a minor breach of etiquette. But while diplomats filed useless protests, other humans were taking action. Admiral Jin Ho-yoon stood in the command center of the Human Defense Headquarters, studying reports that came in from across the galaxy. The admiral was 62 years old and had spent his entire military career following policies of peaceful coexistence with alien species. Those policies were about to change. "Admiral, we have confirmation of the attack details," reported Captain So-Young Kim. "Commander Vorthak struck the child with enough force to kill an adult. The boy only survived because human medical technology is more advanced than aliens realize." Admiral Yoon looked at the tactical displays showing human military positions throughout the galaxy. For decades, human forces had been positioned defensively, designed only to protect colonies from pirates and raiders. But those same forces could be repositioned for offensive operations if necessary. "What is the status of our intelligence networks?" he asked. "Captain Eun Ji-han reports that her teams are already investigating similar incidents," Captain Kim replied. "Preliminary data suggests this attack was not isolated. The Admiral made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Activate Operation Silent Watch. I want detailed intelligence on every hegemony military installation, communication system, and command structure. If diplomacy fails, we will need other options." Meanwhile, in the medical center, the experimental surgery had begun. Dr. Lee used microscopic robotic instruments to remove bone fragments from Wu Jin's brain. The procedure required precision that pushed both human technology and medical skill to their limits. Installing first neural implant, Dr. Lee announced to her team. The implants were made from a rare metal discovered in human asteroid mines. The material could interface directly with human brain cells while being stronger and more durable than biological tissue. But no one knew how a child's developing brain would react to the technology. As the first implant was activated, something unexpected happened. Wu Jin's brain activity began to increase instead of decrease. The cybernetic components were not just replacing damaged tissue, they were enhancing his natural capabilities. "Doctor, look at these neural pathway readings," Nurse Shin said excitedly. "The implants are creating new connections throughout his brain." Dr. Lee watched in amazement as the boy's brain began to heal and adapt to the cybernetic enhancements. His memory centers were becoming more efficient. His processing speed was increasing. The visual cortex was integrating with the optical enhancement implant, better than their best computer models had predicted. Hours passed as the delicate surgery continued. Word of the experimental procedure spread throughout the station's medical community. Alien doctors came to observe, curious about human medical capabilities. Dr. Velthar, a respected physician from the Zephyrian species, watched through the observation window. "I have never seen medical technology like this," he admitted to his colleague. "Our healing methods are far behind what these humans have developed." It was the first time many aliens had realized that humanity possessed advanced technology that surpassed their own capabilities in certain areas. This knowledge would soon become very important. Finally, after 16 hours of surgery, Dr. Lee completed the procedure. Wu Jin's vital signs were stable. His brain activity was not just normal, it was enhanced beyond typical human levels. The surgery was successful, Dr. Lee announced to the waiting parents. "Your son will live, but he will be different when he wakes up." "Different how?" Hae-won asked. "The cybernetic implants have integrated with his brain in ways we did not expect. He will be smarter, faster at processing information, and able to interface directly with computer systems. In some ways, what happened to him will make him stronger than he was before." 3 days later, Wu Jin opened his eyes for the first time since the attack. The world looked different to him now. He could see data streams from the station's computer networks. Mathematical calculations appeared automatically in his vision. He could hear conversations happening several rooms away. "Mom," he said weakly. Hae-won cried with relief as she hugged her son carefully. "How do you feel, sweetheart?" "Different," Wu Jin replied honestly. "I can see things I could not see before, and I remember everything that happened." Dr. Lee examined him thoroughly and was amazed by the results. The boy's intelligence had increased dramatically. His memory was now perfect. He could process multiple streams of information simultaneously, but more importantly, the attack had not broken his spirit. Despite nearly dying, Wu Jin showed no signs of fear or trauma. Instead, he seemed quietly determined about something. "What are you thinking about?" his mother asked. "I am thinking that what happened to me was not just about me," Wu Jin said with wisdom beyond his years. "It was meant to make all humans afraid. But I am not afraid anymore." His words would prove to be prophetic. Across the galaxy, humans were reaching similar conclusions. The age of accepting alien brutality was ending. The age of human resistance was about to begin, and it all started with one small boy who refused to be broken by hatred and violence. 3 weeks after the surgery, Woo-Jin Kim opened his eyes for the first time. The world looked different to him now. Colors were brighter. He could hear conversations happening far away. Numbers and patterns appeared in his vision like a computer display. "Mom," he said weakly. Hae-Won Kim was sleeping in the chair beside his bed. She had not left the medical center since the attack. When she heard his voice, she woke up immediately. "Woo-Jin, my baby," she cried, hugging him carefully. "How do you feel?" "Different," he said honestly. "I can see things I could not see before. And I remember everything that happened in the marketplace." Dr. Soo-Min Lee came into the room to check on her patient. She was amazed by how quickly Woo-Jin had recovered. The cybernetic implants had healed perfectly with his brain tissue. "The implants have enhanced your mental abilities," she explained. "You can process information faster now. Your memory is better. You can even connect to computer networks with your thoughts." Woo-Jin looked at his reflection in the mirror. There were thin silver lines visible under his skin where the implants had been placed. His left eye now had a slight blue glow from the optical enhancement. "Will other people think I look strange?" he asked. "You look like someone who survived something terrible and became stronger," his mother said. "You look like a fighter." While Woo-Jin was learning to use his new abilities, Captain Yoon Ji-han was investigating the attack. She worked for Human Intelligence Division, a secret organization that most people did not know existed. Captain Han had been tracking alien attacks on human civilians for 2 years. What she found was disturbing. The attacks were not random acts of violence. They followed a pattern. In her hidden office deep under New Seoul Station, she studied maps and reports with her team. Tech specialist Boram Lim worked at multiple computer screens, accessing classified databases from across the galaxy. "I found 17 more incidents," Boram reported. "All of them involve hegemony military personnel attacking human children or elderly civilians. Always in public places, always with witnesses. They want people to see," Captain Han realized. "They are trying to terrorize us into submission." Sergeant Woo Bin Song, her military analyst, pointed to locations on the star map. "Look at where these attacks happened. Every one of them was on a human colony that had recently discovered valuable resources or developed new technology." Captain Han studied the pattern. It was clear that the hegemony was using fear as a weapon. They wanted humans to be too scared to resist when their planets were taken over or their technology was stolen. "Have you found the communication records I requested?" she asked Boram. The tech specialist's fingers moved quickly over her keyboard. "Yes, ma'am. I hacked into hegemony military networks. You are not going to like what I found." She displayed a series of messages on the main screen. They were written in the hegemony's military code, but Boram had already translated them. "Pest species breeding too rapidly," Captain Han read aloud. "Recommend increased pressure to reduce population growth. Target juveniles for maximum psychological impact." The room fell silent. These messages proved that the attacks on human children were official hegemony policy. They were trying to genocide humanity slowly, using fear instead of direct warfare. "Ma'am, I think you should see this too," Boram said nervously. She displayed another message. "Hegemony High Command is planning something called Operation Harvest. It starts in 6 months." Captain Han felt her blood run cold. Operation Harvest was a plan to remove humans from 12 key colonies and sell them as slave labor to other alien species. Millions of people would die or disappear. "Get me a secure line to General Minho Kang," she ordered. General Kang was the head of Human Intelligence Division. He was a quiet man who had spent 30 years gathering information about alien species. Most people thought he was just a boring administrator. They were very wrong. "Captain Han," the general said when he appeared on screen, "I have been expecting your call." "You found the evidence we needed, did not you?" "Yes, sir. The attacks on our civilians are part of a larger plan. The hegemony wants to eliminate us as a species." General Kang nodded grimly. "I have similar reports from 6 other investigation teams. The pattern is clear. We are running out of time to stop them." "What are your orders, sir?" "I am authorizing Operation Revelation," the general said. "Gather every piece of evidence you have found. Document every crime. Prepare a complete report on hegemony activities against human civilians." "Sir, what good will a report do? The Galactic Council will not listen to us." General Kang smiled. The report is not for the Galactic Council, Captain. It is for Admiral Yoon and President Sung-mi Bae. They are preparing humanity's response to these crimes. After the call ended, Captain Han gathered her team. They worked for 3 days straight, compiling evidence that would shock the galaxy. Video recordings of attacks, medical reports of injured humans, communication records proving the hegemony's intentions, but they were not the only ones working in secret. In research facilities across human space, scientists were developing new technologies. Engineer Young-Soo Nam had created weapons that could penetrate alien armor. Dr. Hyojin Song had built communication devices that worked faster than anything other species possessed. Most importantly, Admiral Jin Ho-yoon was quietly moving military units to strategic positions. Human defense fleets were supposedly conducting routine training exercises. In reality, they were preparing for war. The plan was simple but dangerous. If the Galactic Council would not protect human lives, then humanity would protect itself. The evidence that Captain Han was gathering would justify everything that came next. On New Seoul Station, Woo Jin Kim was learning to control his enhanced abilities. He could access the station's computer network just by thinking about it. He could calculate complex mathematical problems instantly. His memory was perfect. But the most important thing he learned was what had really happened to him. The hegemony warrior did not just attack me, he told his mother. He was trying to send a message to all humans. He wanted us to be afraid. Are you afraid? Haewon asked. Woo Jin looked at his reflection again. The silver lines under his skin seemed to glow with inner light. The blue glow in his eye was brighter than before. No, he said. I am not afraid anymore. And I do not think other humans should be afraid either. His words were more important than anyone realized. Across the galaxy, humans were reaching the same conclusion. The time for fear was over. Commander Vorthak and the hegemony thought they had struck down a weak child to terrorize a weak species. Instead, they had created a symbol of human resilience. They had given humanity a reason to stop accepting abuse. In hidden bases and secret meetings, humans were preparing for the greatest military campaign in their history. They had spent decades being the victims in the galaxy. Soon they would show every alien species what happened when you pushed humanity too far. The underground network of human intelligence agents had done their job. They had gathered the evidence. They had documented the crimes. They had proven that the hegemony was planning genocide. Now it was time for the soldiers to take over. 6 months had passed since the attack on Woo Jin Kim. The boy had grown stronger and smarter with each passing day. His cybernetic implants had fully integrated with his brain, giving him abilities that amazed even Dr. Soo-min Lee. But Woo Jin was no longer just a patient recovering from injuries. He had become a symbol of human resilience that inspired people across the galaxy. President Sung-mi Bae had visited him twice. Each time she listened carefully to his story and promised that justice would come. The president was a strong woman who had led humanity for 8 years. But even she had been shocked by the evidence of hegemony crimes. Woo Jin, she said during her latest visit, do you understand what happened to you as part of a larger plan to hurt all humans? The boy nodded. His enhanced intelligence allowed him to understand complex political situations that most children could not grasp. They wanted to make us afraid, he said. But I'm not afraid anymore. And I do not think you are afraid either. President Bae smiled. No, we are not afraid. And it is time to show the galaxy what happens when humans fight back. That same day, Commander Vorthak returned to New Seoul Station. He came with a larger group of hegemony warriors and merchants. They planned to finalize Operation Harvest, the secret plan to enslave millions of humans. The commander walked through the marketplace where he had attacked Woo Jin 6 months earlier. He expected to see fear in human faces. Instead, the marketplace was strangely quiet. Most of the usual traders were gone. Only a few humans remained, and they watched him with calm, steady eyes. Where is everyone? Asked Captain Rexdal, who was traveling with the commander. Perhaps they have finally learned their place, Commander Vorthak replied. Fear is a powerful teacher. But they were wrong about the reason for the empty marketplace. The humans were not hiding in fear. They were somewhere else entirely, preparing for what was about to happen. In the command center deep under New Seoul Station, Colonel Jae Sung-ryu studied tactical displays showing hegemony positions across the galaxy. His Special Forces team had spent months gathering intelligence and positioning assets for this Moment, all units report ready, announced Lieutenant Hyunwoo An. Operation Justice is prepared to begin on your command. Colonel Ryu looked at the chronometer. In exactly 1 hour, President Bay would broadcast her message to the galaxy. 1 minute later, human forces would strike simultaneously at targets across 12 star systems. Execute preliminary phase, he ordered. Across the galaxy, human agents who had been living secretly in alien cities began their work. Tech specialist Bo-Ram Lim, now promoted to intelligence commander, led teams that hacked into hegemony communication networks and defense systems. Engineer Young-Soo Nam activated the new weapons that had been hidden in cargo containers and mining equipment for months. These weapons used human technology that alien shields were not designed to stop. Most importantly, Fleet Admiral In-Soo Kwan moved the human battle fleets from their hidden positions in asteroid fields and nebulae. For months, alien intelligence had believed these ships were conducting routine mining and exploration missions. They were about to discover how wrong they had been. At exactly 1400 hours Galactic Standard Time, President Sungmi Bae appeared on every communication screen in human space. But her message was also broadcast on alien networks that Commander Lim's hackers had taken control of. Citizens of the galaxy, she began, I speak to you today as the elected leader of humanity. For too long, our people have suffered attacks from those who consider us weak and inferior. The president's image appeared on screens across New Seoul Station. Commander Vorthak and his warriors stopped their business to watch. 6 months ago, a hegemony warrior named Vorthak struck down an 8-year-old human child in a public marketplace. He shattered the boy's skull because the child accidentally bumped into him while chasing a pet rabbit. Commander Vorthak's face appeared on the screens. Security camera footage showed him attacking Wu Jin in brutal detail. This was not an isolated incident, the president continued. Our investigation has revealed 47 similar attacks on human civilians in the past year. All of them were part of a systematic campaign to terrorize our people. More footage appeared. Alien warriors attacking human families, children being beaten for minor accidents, elderly humans being killed for not moving fast. Enough out of alien warriors' way. We have discovered communication records proving that these attacks were ordered by Hegemony High Command as part of a plan called Operation Harvest. This plan calls for the enslavement of 12 human colonies and the elimination of our species as a galactic power. The evidence was overwhelming. Even alien species that supported the hegemony were shocked by what they saw. Therefore, President Bay announced, the Human Colonial Alliance formally charges the hegemony with crimes against sentient beings and genocide. We demand that those responsible face justice in galactic courts. Commander Vorthak laughed. Empty words from a weak species, he told his warriors. What can they do to enforce their demands? He got his answer 60 seconds later. The first explosions came from hegemony military bases in the Outer Rim. Engineer Nam's new weapons proved devastatingly effective against alien defensive systems. Bases that had seemed impregnable were destroyed in minutes. Then Fleet Admiral Kwan's battle fleets decloaked from their hiding places. Hundreds of human warships appeared around hegemony worlds. They used tactics that no alien military had ever seen before. Instead of fighting massive space battles, the human fleets struck fast and disappeared again. They hit supply lines, communication centers, and command posts. They avoided civilian targets but made it impossible for hegemony forces to coordinate their defenses. Colonel Ryu's Special Forces teams captured key hegemony leaders and intelligence centers. They moved with precision that alien military experts had thought impossible for such a primitive species. Within 6 hours, the hegemony military structure was in chaos. On New Seoul Station, Commander Vorthak and his warriors found themselves surrounded by human security forces, led by Station Chief Dong-Soo Park. Commander Vorthak, the station chief announced, you are under arrest for assault with intent to kill, hate crimes against a sentient being, and conspiracy to commit genocide. The commander reached for his weapon but found that it would not activate. Commander Lim's hackers had disabled all hegemony equipment on the station. This is impossible, he growled. Humans are weak. You cannot defeat the mighty hegemony. We just did, said a young voice. Everyone turned to see Woo Jin Kim walking into the marketplace with his mother. The boy looked different now. The silver lines under his skin glowed with soft light. His enhanced eye blazed with blue fire. Despite being only 8 years old, he carried himself with quiet confidence. "You tried to break me," Wu Jin said to Commander Vorthak. "You tried to make all humans afraid. But you failed." The boy gestured to the screens around them, which now showed human fleets victorious across the galaxy. Hegemony forces were surrendering on dozens of worlds. "You made me stronger," Wu Jin continued. "And you made humanity realize that we do not have to accept being victims anymore." Commander Vorthak was placed in restraints designed specifically for his species. As security officers led him away, he could not understand how this had happened. How had the weak humans defeated the mighty hegemony so quickly? The answer was simple. The hegemony had underestimated human intelligence, determination, and capacity for strategic thinking. They had assumed that superior physical strength was the only kind of power that mattered. They had learned too late that there are many different kinds of strength, and humans had been quietly developing all of them, while pretending to be weak and helpless. The age of human victimhood was over. The age of human power had begun. The Hegemony High Council met an emergency session on their homeworld of Drakmor. The massive chamber was filled with the most powerful military leaders in their empire. For the first time in centuries, they were afraid. "How is this possible?" demanded Supreme Commander Thexnul. "Our report said the humans were weak and divided. How did they coordinate attacks across 12 star systems simultaneously?" General Vorkskai studied the battle reports with growing alarm. "Their technology is unlike anything we have encountered. Our shields are useless against their weapons. Our communication systems are compromised. They seem to know our positions before we do." "It gets worse," reported Intelligence Director Zexron. "Human fleets are using tactics we have never seen. They attack and vanish before we can respond. They hit our supply lines and command centers while avoiding direct confrontation with our main battle groups." Supreme Commander Thexnul slammed his clawed hand on the table. "They are cowards who refuse to fight honorably." "Sir," General Vorkskai said carefully, "with respect, they are not cowards. They are winning." The truth was painful but undeniable. In 3 days of fighting, the hegemony had lost 40% of its forward bases and supply depots. Human forces had captured or destroyed key military installations while suffering. Minimal casualties themselves, but the hegemony was not ready to accept defeat from a species they considered inferior. "Mobilize the entire fleet," Supreme Commander Thexnul ordered. "We will show these humans what real military power looks like. Prepare for Operation Total Victory." Meanwhile, in the Human Command Center on New Geneva Station, Fleet Admiral Insu Quan studied the same battle reports with satisfaction. The initial strikes had been more successful than anyone had dared hope. The hegemony is pulling their fleets back to defend their core worlds, reported Intelligence Chief Tae Jung. "They are abandoning their forward positions to concentrate their forces." "Good," Admiral Quan said. "That is exactly what we want them to do." Dr. Hyojin Song entered the command center, carrying a briefcase containing humanity's most secret weapon. "Admiral, the quantum communication network is fully operational. We can now coordinate our forces across the entire galaxy in real time." This was something no alien species had ever achieved. Instant communication across vast distances meant that human commanders could respond to changing conditions faster than their enemies could adapt. "What about our new allies?" Admiral Quan asked. Intelligence Chief Jong smiled. "Better than expected. 17 different species have declared support for humanity after seeing evidence of hegemony crimes. The Zephyrians are providing intelligence about hegemony fleet movements. The Crystalline Collective is sharing advanced defensive technologies." The truth was that many alien species had suffered under hegemony rule for generations. They had been waiting for someone strong enough to challenge the Empire. Humanity had given them hope. But the most important advantage was something the hegemony had never understood about humans: their ability to think creatively under pressure. Colonel Jae-sung Ryu demonstrated this during the Battle of Kepler Station. His fleet was outnumbered 3-1 by hegemony forces, but instead of retreating, he did something unexpected. "Sir, enemy forces are approaching," reported Captain So-young Kim. "They have us surrounded." "Perfect," Colonel Ryu replied calmly. "Execute Plan Thunderstorm." The human ship suddenly scattered in all directions, moving toward the system's asteroid belt. The hegemony fleet followed, thinking they were chasing a panicked retreat. Instead, they flew into a trap. Engineer Young-Soo Nam had spent months placing explosive devices throughout the asteroid field. When the hegemony ships reached the center of the belt, Colonel Ryu activated the charges. The explosions turned hundreds of asteroids into guided missiles that struck the alien ships at incredible speed. The hegemony fleet was destroyed in minutes, but the humans were not finished. "Sir, we are receiving a message from the hegemony flagship," reported Communications Officer Ji-Won Lee. "Put it through," Colonel Ryu ordered. The alien commander appeared on screen. His scales were pale with fear and his voice shook with rage. "You fight without honor, human. You use tricks and deception instead of facing us in glorious battle." "We use intelligence and strategy," Colonel Ryu replied. "Concepts your species seems unable to understand." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Human forces consistently outmaneuvered and outfought hegemony fleets using superior tactics and technology. What had started as punishment for attacking a child was becoming a complete military revolution. On New Seoul Station, Woo-Jin Kim watched the news reports with his mother and Dr. Soo-Min Lee. The boy's enhanced abilities allowed him to process information from multiple sources simultaneously, giving him a better understanding of the war than most adults. "The hegemony is losing," he announced. "Their military doctrine is based on intimidation and brute force. They do not know how to fight an enemy that refuses to be intimidated." "You sound very certain," Dr. Lee observed. "I can access military databases through my implants," Woo-Jin explained. "I can see the battle reports in real time. The hegemony keeps making the same mistakes because they cannot accept that humans are not weak." His mother Hae-won looked worried. "But surely they will not give up easily. What if they decide to destroy human worlds rather than accept defeat?" It was a good question, and the answer came sooner than anyone expected. Supreme Commander Thexnull, desperate to salvage hegemony pride, issued an order that shocked even his own officers. "If we cannot defeat the humans in battle, we will eliminate their colonies from space. Prepare planet-killer weapons for deployment against Earth, New Geneva, and Tau Ceti Prime." The order was intercepted by Commander Boram Lim's intelligence network within minutes of being transmitted. "Admiral Kwan," she reported urgently, "the hegemony is preparing to use weapons of mass destruction against our civilian populations." Fleet Admiral Kwan felt his blood run cold. Planet-killer weapons could destroy entire worlds, killing billions of innocent people. The hegemony was preparing to commit genocide on a scale never before seen in galactic history. "How long do we have?" he asked. 72 hours, Commander Lim replied.
"That is how long it will take them to move the weapons into position." Admiral Kwan looked at his staff officers.
They all knew what this meant. The war had escalated beyond military targets. Now it was a race to save humanity itself. "Send a message to President Bay," he ordered. "Tell her that Operation Final Justice is now authorized. We have 72 hours to end this war before the hegemony destroys our homeworlds." The message was clear. Humanity would have to strike at the heart of the hegemony empire and force their complete surrender before the planet killer weapons could be deployed. It was the most dangerous mission in human history, but it was also the only way to ensure that no alien species would ever again consider humans to be easy victims. The war that had started with the attack on one small boy was about to reach its climactic battle. The survival of human civilization hung in the balance. 2 years had passed since Commander Vorthak struck down Woo-Jin Kim in the marketplace of New Seoul Station. Today, the same marketplace buzzed with activity, but everything was different. Woo-Jin, now 10 years old, walked through the crowd with quiet confidence. The silver lines beneath his skin had become more visible as he grew, marking him as someone who had survived great trauma and emerged stronger. His enhanced eye glowed softly blue as he processed information from the station's networks. But today was special. Today was the day when justice would finally be served. The Galactic Tribunal had been established after humanity's victory over the hegemony. Representatives from 43 different species now worked together to ensure that crimes against sentient beings would never again go unpunished. The trial of Commander Vorthak and the hegemony leadership had lasted 6 months. The evidence presented by Captain Yoon Ji-han and her intelligence team had shocked the galaxy. Detailed records of systematic attacks on civilians, plans for genocide, and the use of fear as a weapon of war had been displayed for all to see. "Ladies and gentlemen of the tribunal," announced Chief Judge Keltar, a member of the Zephyrian species. We have reached our verdict in the case of the hegemony war crimes. The courtroom was packed with beings from across the galaxy. Many of them were species that had suffered under hegemony rule for generations. Others were humans who had lost family members to alien attacks. Commander Vorthak stood in the prisoner's dock, wearing restraints designed specifically for his species. The once proud warrior looked older and smaller than he had 2 years ago. Months of captivity and the knowledge of his empire's complete defeat had broken his spirit. Commander Vorthak, Judge Keltar continued, you have been found guilty of assault with intent to kill, hate crimes against a sentient being, conspiracy to commit genocide, and crimes against galactic peace. You are sentenced to life imprisonment on the prison world of Arcturus 7, where you will have time to consider the consequences of your actions. The former Supreme Commander Thex Newell and 12 other hegemony leaders received similar sentences. Their empire, which had ruled through fear for centuries, was being dismantled piece by piece, but Wu Jin was not focused on the punishment of his attacker. He was thinking about the future. After the trial, he walked with his mother, Hei Wan, to the memorial wall that had been built in the center of the marketplace. The wall contained the names of every human civilian who had been killed by alien attackers in the past decade. 47 names, Wu Jin said quietly, reading the inscription. 47 people who died because someone thought humans were weak and worthless. His mother placed her hand on his shoulder. She had changed too over the past 2 years. The frightened woman who had watched her son nearly die had become the Secretary of Interstellar Trade in the new galactic government. Humans now held positions of real power and influence. Their deaths were not meaningless, Hei Wan said. They showed us that we could not continue to accept being victims. They gave us the courage to fight back. President Sung-Mi Bei approached them, flanked by her security detail. The president had aged noticeably during the war, but her eyes still blazed with the determination that had led humanity to victory. Wu Jin, she said, I have something to tell you. The Galactic Council has approved funding for a new project. We are going to build schools throughout the galaxy where children of all species can learn together. The first one will be built here on New Sol Station. What will you call it? Wu Jin asked. The Kim Wu Jin Memorial School for Galactic Understanding, the president replied. We want to make sure that no child, human or alien, ever has to face the kind of hatred that nearly killed you. Wu Jin smiled. It was the first time many people had seen him truly happy since the attack. I think that is a good idea. But I have a better name for it. What would you suggest? The School for All Children, he said simply. Because that is what we are fighting for, a galaxy where all children can be safe. As they spoke, news reports came in from across human space. The reconstruction of the galaxy was proceeding faster than anyone had expected. Fleet Admiral In-Su Quan had been elected as the first Supreme Commander of the new Galactic Defense Force. His fleets, which had once been hidden in asteroid belts, now patrolled trade routes to protect merchant ships from pirates and raiders. Dr. Hyojin Song's quantum communication network had revolutionized galactic commerce. Trade agreements that once took months to negotiate could now be completed in hours. The economic benefits were enormous for all species. Engineer Young-Soo Nam had established the Interspecies Technology Exchange. Humans shared their advanced medical and military technologies with other species, while learning from alien expertise in areas like environmental engineering and energy production. Most importantly, Intelligence Chief Tae Young-jong had created the Galactic Justice Network. This organization monitored for crimes against sentient beings and ensured rapid response to protect civilians of all species. The galaxy that had once been ruled by fear and intimidation was becoming a place where cooperation and mutual respect were the norm, but the most significant change was in how other species viewed humanity. Ambassador Kyung Hwan Choi stood before the Galactic Council, delivering his annual report on human activities. The same alien leaders who had once dismissed human protests now listened carefully to every word. The human colonies have achieved a 97% crime reduction rate, he announced. Our medical assistance programs have saved over 12 million lives across 48 different worlds. Human-designed defensive systems have prevented 6 different wars from starting. The council members nodded approvingly. Humanity had proven that strength did not require brutality, and power did not require oppression. After his speech, Ambassador Choi was approached by Councillor Velthun of the Crystalline Collective. Ambassador, the alien leader said, my species owes humanity a great debt. For 3 centuries, we lived in fear of hegemony raids on our colonies. Your people have given us freedom. We did not fight for debt or gratitude, Ambassador Choi replied. We fought because it was right. That, Counselor Velthun said, is why the galaxy needs human leadership. Back on New Sol Station, Woo-Jin Kim stood at the observation deck, looking out at the ships coming and going through the transparent dome. His enhanced vision allowed him to identify vessels from dozens of different species, all trading peacefully together. Dr. Soo-Min Lee joined him at the window. The doctor had become famous throughout the galaxy for her medical innovations, but she still made time to check on her most important patient. How are you feeling today, Woo-Jin? She asked. Different from how I felt 2 years ago, he replied thoughtfully. Back then I was afraid and hurt and angry. Now I feel hopeful. Hopeful about what? About the future. About what we can build together. He gestured toward the ships in space. All those people out there, humans and aliens, they are working together instead of fighting. That is better than revenge, Dr. Lee smiled. You are wise for someone so young. I had good teachers, Woo-Jin said. Pain teaches you about suffering, but kindness teaches you about healing. As the day ended, Woo-Jin walked home with his mother through the same streets where he had once nearly died. But these were not the same streets anymore. They were safer, brighter, and filled with hope instead of fear. In his pocket, he carried the memorial plaque that would be placed at the site of the attack tomorrow. The inscription was simple but powerful. In 3 seconds, everything changed. In 3 years, everything was made right. Let no child of any species face such cruelty again. Commander Vorthak had thought he was striking down a weak and helpless victim. Instead, he had awakened something that would transform the galaxy forever. He had awakened humanity's refusal to accept injustice. The age of fear was over. The age of hope had begun. And it all started with one small boy who refused to stay broken, and a species that refused to stay silent when their children were hurt. The galaxy was a better place now, and it would continue to improve as long as there were people willing to stand up for what was right, no matter how small or powerless they might seem. In the end, that was the true lesson of Woo-Jin Kim's story. Not that humans were stronger than other species, but that strength comes from protecting the innocent and building a better future for all children, everywhere in the galaxy.